There's never been a better time to have SiriusXM. With over 140 channels in your vehicle, your all-access trial includes more than ever before to enjoy online, on your phone, or at home. Create your own ad-free personalized stations powered by Pandora. Hear ad-free extra channels and enjoy favorite shows with SiriusXM Video on Demand. What you love is on now.
What's going on, guys? Thanks for tuning in to another CMA Connected, presented by SiriusXM Lunchtime Learning Session. Here, I'm your host, Ben Wu. We've made it through half the week, and on today's episode, we're going to dive into some categories which are certainly very important for the Canadian climate, and touch on it. When I said multiple categories, it truly is, because this brand provides products in a multitude of different categories. Of course, we're talking about Accele Electronics now. Back in the day, I remember this brand because they were very, very heavily involved in providing top quality flip down screens. But that company has absolutely grown since then. And with that, we have Christian Way, the Vice President, who will be joining us today to share with us a couple new products. That's right, new product alert that he's pretty excited to talk about. So let's go ahead and bring him on. Christian, what's going on, man?
What's going on, Ben? How are you?
It's always fun when I get a guest to come on to talk about new product, because who doesn't like new product?
I think everyone does, man. That's what keeps us moving, right?
It totally does, and totally does. And, Accele has done a great job always kind of keeping with the times as trends, change and technologies come out. You've always kind of been on the cutting edge of that, haven't you?
Yeah, we do a pretty good job. I mean, again, we've done a couple of these, and we've had Alan on. The owner, engineer, is just always it's on the front of the ship, man, steering us to newer technologies, and we're pretty fortunate to have him.
Absolutely. So why don't you break down today's show? I think it's kind of in two parts, and we've got some special guests joining us.
Yeah. So we have two distributors in Canada that handle the bulk of our distribution up there, Importel and B&B, and so we have the first half hour. We're kind of going to discuss. This time we're going to try and trim it down. Normally we try and cram too much, and we never make it. So I just eliminated I dropped like 30 SKUs off the presentation. Like, let's just focus on today. We're going to focus on our TLP 150 series cam, and we've added a couple new additions. We're pretty excited about, and we're going to bring on B&B for that. Importel for that, and we're going to have Mr. Ramesh on board. And we'll go through that. We're going to talk about also some blind spot sensors, some backup sensors, and really the difference in technology. Obviously you have microwave versus ultrasonic.
Oh,
and
that's a hot debate.
Yeah, and so Ramesh, we're gonna put on some boxing gloves and dive into that. You can't really have a conversation without opposing something he says. So I'm sure that'll be fun.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
I will neither confirm or deny that comment, sir. But it sounds like the first half is going to be a little bit ADAS-y.
Yep, absolutely. Okay. And the second half is diving into seat comfort systems, massage kits, and obviously seat heaters. We have some new additions to that as well that we're really excited to roll out, and we think it's going to be a good season. And obviously between September and March, we're not selling much else than seat heaters in Canada. So yeah, we're kind of excited to let everyone know what's coming down the pipe. And
I gotta say, seat heaters represents a huge market, more than what most dealers think. If you're tuning into this either live or on demand and you're hearing about heat seaters and you're not selling heat seaters, you're missing out, because I can confirm a crap ton of heat seaters are sold from fall to spring in Canada.
Yeah,
that's for sure.
And you've done the heat seater thing, which is obviously you can't say that correctly ever, really. Like 50% of the time I say exactly the same thing. But heat seaters. Yeah. And so we have Jaron jumping on for that portion of it. Yeah. From B&B. They do a good job moving our seat heaters. So he's going to come on and jump on and kind of give some input on the features that he likes. And we'll go from there.
I have no question in my mind that Jaron is the foremost specialist on seat heaters in Canada. I'm sure of it.
I'm sure.
Why don't we get underway? We're going to go ahead and get Ramesh on with us from Importel.
Great.
Good on, Ramesh.
Hey, Christian. Hey, Ben.
What is going on, man? How are you?
I'm really good. How are you guys?
Doing great.
Yeah.
Hey, I like that banner. Nice job.
Yeah, it's Alex is pretty handy.
Yeah.
Yeah, they do a good job over there.
Or it's the one that
Nice.
you sent, the big vinyl one that you sent us.
Did he hand stitch that one, or
That's the one you sent us last
Really?
week. Yeah.
Nice, perfect.
Perfect timing.
I did a good job.
Yeah, your marketing department did a great job.
Absolutely.
We're happy you did that for us.
I've had the pleasure of being on with Ramesh on a multitude of different these sessions, and we've talked about cameras, we've talked about ADAS. So I'm curious to see what you have in store for us today, Chris. Why don't we dive right into the first product that we want to talk about?
Yeah, so we're gonna talk about our TLP 150 series cam, and we call it a series cam just because there's obviously a series of cams. We have this unit right here, which is the entry level. You come in and it's really a good, better, best scenario. A la Neil Willard, if he's out there. How you doing, buddy? So good, better, best. We jump in with the TLP 150. The thing about the TLP 150 series is it comes with, you can go down and you'll see that. Yeah, exactly. It comes with 3 different brackets in every box, and that makes it really, really, really convenient. So you have one SKU, particularly with the entry level piece, where you can have parking lines. There's a loop. You can cut that. You can eliminate the parking lines. You can have standard or reverse image, and then you have the 3 different brackets. So really, just having this one cam on the shelf, pretty much, is going to give you a cam for every problem, every solution. Right? It's a solution for every install that you need.
This kind of product makes things a lot more accessible budget-wise to customers. What's your take on that, Ramesh, with this type of product for stores? Is this something they should have in stock, like on the shelf, kind of pick up and go? Or
this mounting option, I mean, there's so many vehicle-specific challenges, let's say, and one thing that's consistent is every vehicle has a license plate, right? So, and then the multiple mounting options. So by having a single camera that can do multiple things on the shelf, you just go to that one piece, you just grab it, and it's going to work. Mm-hmm. And if you have salespeople up front and installers in the back, sometimes it gets around some of that. Hey, I thought it was going to fit, but now it doesn't, and the car's in the bay and things are taken apart, and right. So yeah, absolutely. It's as a go-to piece on the shelf. It's sort of, you can't do without it, really. And Christian, can you tell us why the camera is off to the side?
Sure, absolutely. Yeah. So the conventional tag mount that most people are selling, you have to actually remove the whole plate, and again, over time, you just you're trying to find different ways to save time. Ours is slotted, as you can see. If you go back to the picture of the mount, ours is slotted. So you just loosen the bolts, you drop the tag mount behind the plate, and then you slide it over. And so obviously we had to give it room to slide back over and become back in the center. And again, so that's the tag mount, which is obviously it's a great place and an easy place and a quick install. Everything's right there. You have reverse lights, you have all the power accessible. It's a good spot. But also this little guy, the one that's below, you have the surface mount. Obviously we know where that's going to go, but that flush mount piece is huge, right? I mean, the flush mount piece and that option is really big. When you're doing trucks, there's kind of a few of those in Alberta and obviously Montreal, right? When you're doing like the third brake lights, so if you take a little blue tape and in a small little hole saw, you can just go right into those. And it's really just become quite an inventory saver, right? Because otherwise, if you're doing like a third brake light, or if you're doing a tailgate handle, most of those already have kind of an ABS plastic back there that's easy to get into. The brake light is you have to be a little more careful. You don't want to crack it, but as opposed to, trying to stock, Toyota Tundra and, Fords and F-150s and GMs and Avalanches. I mean, that's expensive inventory, right? So, this little gadget, this little piece, you can cover all those vehicles.
Very nice. Well designed. Mm-hmm. Okay. Any expansion to this lineup?
Yeah, sure. So if we go over to the TLP 150L, go back. Yeah, TLP 150. That's different. So we want to just go to the L. TLP.
Oh, the L. Sorry.
Yeah.
So let's go here.
It's we don't have to go. I don't think I sent you that link. But
Okay.
the TLP 150L is it's exactly the same thing with the exception that it has active lines, right?
Oh, so this one doesn't have active lines. This is
This one
really
does not.
basic. Okay.
Yeah, so it gives you a set parking grid, right? But the L will give you active lines.
Okay.
Ramesh, you want to jump in on that? On active lines?
Oh, active lines versus non-active.
Yeah.
So so if I mean for consumers, I mean from a sales standpoint, for consumers that already have another vehicle maybe or have experienced active lines, I think predominantly they're going to want to move towards something with active lines. So it's going to give you lines that as you're backing up and turning, it's going to predict where you're going to be, right? So you can center yourself in the parking spot without the guesswork, or having to use the mirrors again, which then sort of not defeats, but it's redundant if you have a camera. Once you have the lines, it sort of helps you center, and then you're not using the mirrors per se to be centered. So.
Just speaking from personal experience, like my wife, for example, will only look at rear view cameras with lines.
Wow.
Period.
Really? Okay.
If there's no line, it's like, what is this? I can't use this. Like,
dude, I am still a little old school. I still I still have to look at my mirrors for some odd reason when I don't need to, but for some odd reason it's just it's embedded in my
you need to become a gamer
brain.
Yeah, exactly. No, but the point is, I guess, there's two types of clients, two types of situations, and the options are there. That's what that's the focus there.
Absolutely. And so that leads us on to the TLP 150 LL 180 and two of our new additions. So again, the turning line cam comes with the whole series comes with all three different brackets. So you still have that option. The loops on obviously, there are no loops on the TLP 150L, the previous cam, because you wouldn't spend the extra money for turning lines if you're going to turn them off, right? So they're always on. You can't turn them off. And we also only do reverse image on that because you have a clear vision of where you're headed, right? Or you probably shouldn't be driving. Now this guy. Yeah. So this guy is our new TLP 150 LL 180, and we're really excited about this. Obviously, it's a 180 cam TLP 150 series, comes with all three different brackets. The resolution on this puppy is 800 TV lines. So I kind of took just a snapshot of just my hand really quick, so you could just see the detail on my hand. And if you look at it, right, even with this cam, I mean, obviously I look like I'm 90 in that picture, and my hands obviously. And this is a 1080p cam, so it's amazing resolution, 180 degrees. It also has a 0.09 lux rating, 0.09, not 0.1, not 0.5, 0.09. So if you go to this guy, that last pick, this is a really great indication if you want to see how your camera functions under low light. Actually take your hand and cover it, right? So there's you can see a little light coming in from the bottom and in the top, but there's very little light getting in there. And note that it's still color, right? And that's how well that camera performs. You put it in a room, you turn off the lights, and it's seeing well better than you are, with your eyes. So
that's a great point you made there about, sorry to cut you off there, but that's a great point about the low light, right? It's a common misnomer, I guess, or often misunderstood technology when we talk about IR and infrared lighting. And there's nothing wrong with infrared technology. I mean, it's great. It works in a cardboard box. However, you do lose color. And color is one of the differentiators between like the parking lines and things behind you at night and what have you. So having that really low lux sensitivity. So for people that are familiar with cameras, it would be like having a very large aperture, right? Right. So a really low f-stop camera where you'd be able to take pictures without a flash. So this is the same type of idea, but it's applied to video. And it really gets you that color to differentiate on top of the clarity. And then the key point, I think, on the TV lines for people that don't understand it, or for consumers that might be out there watching this as well, there aren't a significant amount of backup cameras that are even over 400. Like 500 is like wow. So when you're getting up to 800 and 900 kind of TV lines, and a 1080 camera versus 720 or lower, it's quite significant.
Yeah,
especially
had
at like dusk, man. You know that time.
Uh-huh.
Oh, dude, even the factory early generation cars that had the reverse cams on them it was just useless. You couldn't see anything.
Right, and part of the reason that at dusk that you have that challenge is the backup lights don't really illuminate anything.
Exactly.
Right, it's in that in between spot, which is where in the past we would go, oh yeah, we have IR now, and look, but it's black and white.
Right.
So this
especially
eliminates
when
all
you finish
of that.
work here in Canada at 4:35 and it's dark already. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like that's when you get to your car. It's
Yeah.
the most important time. Anyhow.
Right.
Yeah, totally.
That seat heater time of season, that 6 months that we have up here.
Yeah.
You can't see.
You can't see.
Yeah, you walk out.
Unless you have a 0.09 lux rated rear cam.
You got it.
We pretty much just assume it's nighttime for 6 months.
Oh, thanks, Chris. Yeah.
No worries.
Yeah, but don't forget the sun sets.
We're back.
The sun sets here at like 9 o'clock when it's setting down there at about 7:45, 8 o'clock.
Exactly. Yeah. Okay, so I noticed that you have yet another model here beyond this one that we just saw. I'm going to go ahead and put that up. Talk to us about this.
Back on the 180 cam also though, again, 180, there's not a lot of plate cams that are going to give you 180, right? So everyone's kind of in that 160 max range, and we really wanted to give a tag mount another one that had that clarity. And that it's not really pushing that fisheye lens look. You know what I mean? It really, it's scaled back. So the software kind of modifies the image to make it look a little more.
Got it. So it doesn't have that convex kind of fisheye distorted, like when you go into the, like some of the telephone cameras and things like that, where they're distorted on the outside.
Yeah,
that's a great point.
Like the circus mirrors. You walk in, I'm fat, I'm skinny, I'm fat. I'm
right, exactly.
Yeah.
Like your 75-year-old hand looking like it's 90, like that.
Yeah, precisely.
Yeah. Right. A great selling feature to retailers as well as consumers. There is like this whole 180 thing. You'll hear people saying, you don't need it. 135, 140 is fine. For consumers that have really poor visibility lines, or maybe they're at a point in life where mobility is a bit restricted, things like that. This kind of works almost like a cross traffic when you're backing out. Because as long as you can get that bumper, inch it back past the cars that are next to you, and the camera is mounted in such a way that it's not recessed, into it like a recessed kind of cubby, you will be able to see what's coming as you back out of a parking lot or parking spot in a busy parking lot. So, airports, grocery stores, things like that. That is a selling feature that you would not be able to do with a conventional camera.
You'd have to be,
5 feet out of the spot, and you'd be.
You know what I would love to see, Christian?
What's
if
that?
only there was an opportunity to do a workshop type of presentation in the future, whereby you could show exactly what these cameras look like in a car and see exactly how wide that 180 is. Wouldn't that be a great idea?
That'd be a good idea. Maybe we'll do that.
We'll do that in September sometime.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah, it's cool. And it's actually rated, we put 180, but it actually will go about 190, to be honest with you. So it does see beyond the scope. Yeah, great cam.
Cool.
So then we have, that's brand new. That is shipping as of next week. We had to redesign the plate bracket to accommodate that, the tag mount bracket. So that comes in next week, and they'll be shipping.
Very cool.
Stock and ready to roll. Yeah. So the next one, So both of them would have done. We had and Importel had great success with this cam, the TLP 150 HD. It was for the price, it was just an amazing camera. But they moved that chip solely to AHD cams, which we're kind of, we're in flux right now, meaning not a lot of monitors can accept AHD, which is, a high definition signal through essentially a composite RCA, versus your standard. So we were unable to get that chip made, put back into the cameras that we had. So we had to move off that camera, which was a bummer because that picture was unbelievable.
It was.
So it's taken us probably about a year and a half to find a replacement. And this is the ultimate replacement. So this has very similar. But the trick about this one is you can actually jump in and program it. Okay. So again, you have all 3 different mounting brackets, right? I believe if you scroll down, I think it's 960 lines or 900,
960p.
960p essentially, right? 0.001 lux night visibility. So again, you
Wow.
put your hand over it, you're seeing it in color. It's it's an amazing camera.
Yeah.
But the cool feature on this, if you jump down to the bottom left, no, up, bottom left image, yeah, go over 1. Sorry. Yeah, here we go. So there's a plug-in programmer, and that's what it looks like. Just a basic board, center for enter, and you can move up and through the menu with the arrows, and then go back over 1 cam, and you'll see just a snapshot of what the menu looks like and what this thing is. It's really robust. So
Wow.
there's a couple things that are just functions. They won't show up in the menu, but you're actually just holding down the buttons. So you can actually switch from AHD to standard, right? On the camera, right? So you can actually switch the output entirely. You can have the parking lines or eliminate them. And then you can really just jump in, particularly if you're on AHD and you really want to tweak what the image is going to look like. If you want to have motion sensing on it, so you can have that where it has pockets, so it's a little more of cross traffic, if you will. It'll highlight things that are moving within the frame. Yeah, you can jump in, you can do the lens exposure, obviously, adjust the backlight, everything else. It's a
Forgive me
really
if I didn't catch this, but that's great for inventory, isn't it? If you can be able to choose the type of output.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, absolutely. Right. Because I think Ramesh is going to have to answer this one. I'm not too sure on the Pioneers and the Kenwoods of the world. And are they offering AHD inputs yet? Are they?
Not that I'm aware of in anything that we're
Right.
carrying anyways, unless there's,
Okay.
Something in a different tier, but not that I've seen.
But again, they're going to. I mean, that's definitely
assuming that the screens will accept, like as the screen quality or resolution, sorry, not quality, as the resolution gets higher in aftermarket screens, I could see it, but they're probably looking to pair things together, right? Whereas in our case, we can go to town with this because we don't care what screen we're connecting it to. It could be, we could even use it in an OE in an add a camera situation where it has a factory screen with no camera. Right. This is a viable piece because we don't have to worry out of the front of the shop or at the consumer level. We don't have to worry about compatibility or quality of image because we can adjust it to be whatever we need it to be.
Right. That's what I meant by the inventory. You get
right. That's a great,
all your bases.
Yeah. Pile them high, watch them fly.
And does that controller come with it?
Yeah,
it does.
Okay. Cool.
And we've also begun to launch, most of our monitors are going to be, AHD acceptable. So even our rear view mirror, the RVM 703A, which I think you have, it's a 7-inch stretch mirror, really nice OE look, 3 video inputs. I think it's video 2 accepts AHD. So you can do either or. So we're just kind of preparing for that on all sides. And we're excited about it. And obviously our DVRs and our quad splitters all accept AHD. So when you're putting some commercial cams in, it's important to have that flexibility.
Let's quickly jump to what other ADAS categories that Accele currently offers.
Yeah, we spent a lot of time on that. So we wanted to discuss our backup sensors and our blind spot sensors. Our backup sensor is the BU500. We'll go over that briefly. This was actually designed for Renault South America. We worked with them, probably like 20 years ago. Let's put it this: the girl in that picture is my niece, and she's already graduated from college. So it's just a very, very rock solid ultrasonic piece, 4 sensor. Again, it's OE spec. We probably spent more money on certifying it than we did designing it and building it. It's just been a rock solid dynamite piece. So there's still a lot of need for that, believe it or not. The next we're going to jump into, and again, let's keep in mind that that's ultrasonic, right? Which kind of gives you the ability to see the range It'll do distance. There's some benefits to that. And then, of course, blind spot sensing, which I think everyone's diving into. We have two different variations or two different versions. We have an ultrasonic piece, which is a drill-in sensor, two of them. They go on the rear quarter panels. And then we have the BSS 500, which is microwave. And I think there's a lot of confusion out there right now as to, what the difference is between ultrasonic and microwave. We were just going to have a brief discussion on that. I would like to point out, though, on our BSS 200 and our BSS 500, I think what we do a little differently than everybody else is we kind of simplify the software on it. We just want to make it easy. We don't want to play God, on sensing. On our BSS 200, it's just pumping out a sound wave, right? You're just boom, 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 and it's waiting for something to bounce back. Okay, so if there's something between 8 to 10 feet, your indicator is going to illuminate and tell you that there's something there. If you have your blinker on, it isolates that quadrant and gives you a chirp. That's it. There's no speed sensing. There's no, I don't know why.
There's no GPS. There's no connecting to the OBD.
Yeah,
this
not
is
on
straight sound.
Not on that unit, right? It's just designed to let you know if something's there, and it's not. It doesn't discriminate. It does. If anything's there between 8 to 10 feet, I mean, if it's a guardrail, an ex-wife, a dead dog, it doesn't matter. Another car, it doesn't care. It's going to tell you that something's
Cardboard
there.
box in your garage.
It doesn't matter.
Garbage
particularly
bag,
when you're
whatever.
parked, right?
Right.
Now the BSS 500. This is our microwave sensor. No drilling, right? So you're going to go up behind the bumper, sometimes take off the bumper, which we're going to discuss briefly. But you're going to go up there, you'll clean it, you'll adhere those behind the poly, and that'll go through. Now it's a little different, right? And I'll leave this one up to Ramesh to kind of jump in on the difference, because it's really, now you're looking for, this technology is from like German army boats. I mean, right? So you're looking for objects in motion. But go ahead and
right. So you kind of touched on the installation earlier between ultrasonic and microwave. So the first thing is from an installation standpoint. One is I'll call it intrusive, if you will. So we're drilling holes in the bumper like we would for a backup system, right? Mm-hmm. And in the case of the microwave, we're going in behind the bumper more often than not. So the thought process, or the easy way for dealers to understand it or differentiate it, or even a consumer, is when you think of an OE system for an OE blind spot system, you're really looking to figure out what's coming up beside you. So this will give you, with the turn signal on, it will give you left or right. It will give you objects entering into that zone. So if you're moving at 100 and the other guy's boogieing at 150, and you kind of checked your mirrors and didn't, check your blind spot, and then kind of turned your signal on, and then by the time you moved over, this guy was jetting up the left-hand side or the right-hand side or wherever they were coming, you're going to know right away that they've entered, or if they enter and they back up and then they kind of come back into it, right? So you thought they weren't there, but they came back. This is going to give you all of that without, with a less intrusive installation.
Just so we're clear, right. So if I went back to this previous slide, so this is the ultrasonic sensor. These, you can see my mouse, these two sensors here, that has to be physically drilled through your bumper, correct?
Correct.
That's what I'm trying to understand. Okay.
Right. Like the image you showed earlier for the backup sensors, if you look at that mounting, it'll be the same. Right? Like you had a picture of a bumper, I think, earlier. It'll be the same. Whereas this mounts up behind.
So you'd have to remove the bumper, put this on the frame, and then put the bumper over.
Sometimes.
Okay, got it.
Sometimes. Not all the time. Sometimes.
Not all the time. But the point is, there's no hole drilling into the bumper for these to function.
No drilling.
Yeah, they're placed. If this is the inside surface of the bumper, and that's the outside, the unit is mounting up inside, so up behind it. So whether in some cases you can just slide under the car and you can get there
on the bumper side or on the frame side.
on the bump on the frame side facing out towards the bumper.
But the adhesive goes onto the frame.
Correct.
No, the
Or
adhesive,
no?
it goes directly to the polyurethane.
Okay,
right?
to urethane.
The
Sorry.
poly bumper, right?
Okay,
right.
that's what I was trying to figure out.
Yep.
Gotcha.
Mhm. So that'll adhere to that. In fact, that little, if you look at the little orange film, you'll just peel
there you
that
go.
away. You'll clean the surface and
Right.
double stick it.
Interesting.
Very aggressive 3M. The piece is also, the BSS 500 is really good. It's extremely similar to how OEs are working. It works also on the same frequency, which is 79 gigahertz. I think most of the aftermarket pieces are 24, which is a less active, right? So if you think about it, the 79 is just going to be more accurate. At the end of the day, what we boast about this piece is it's about 30% less expensive to the dealer than the other blind spots on the market. It's 30% quicker for install because the sensors are very small, they're flexible, and they're double stick, and it's 30% more accurate. So
And it's got very elegant LED markers.
Yeah. And again, it's all about not drilling. So, you know, those have a nice little method to adhere and not drill.
Well, we've rounded out the first session of this broadcast anyways, where we covered some of your new cameras as well as some ADAS features such as these sensors in both sonic, ultrasonic, as well as microwave. Ramesh, thank you so much for bringing your expertise to the table and taking the time with us today.
Both. Really
Thanks,
love
man.
the platform. Thanks, guys.
Awesome.
All right.
Thanks, brother.
So let's get into part two. Part two, we get into the exciting world of warming your tush. In Canada, that sounds ridiculous, but however, represents a huge market and business opportunity for our dealers. And to shed some light on the matter, we have the specialist from BB Distribution. His name is Jaron. What's going on, Jaron?
How's it going, guys?
Hey, what's up, man? How are you?
I feel left out. I need a set of headphones like everyone else.
Well, you know, you could probably maybe use some corporate budget and get on one of those really expensive full cal ones.
Yeah, I'll get some Utopias.
Yeah, there you go. I think that's perfect for webcasting.
Ben approved it. Send it through.
Yeah, no problem.
So what's going on, man? How's life at B&B over there?
Life at B&B is good. We're in our new location.
I was going to say, you guys moved,
set up,
right?
ready to go.
Okay.
Yeah, we moved down the road 5 minutes, but we're set up, ready to go, ready to ship orders out to everyone.
Sounds
Amazing.
good. Sounds good.
I do notice the new camera. Very nice. I like that as well. Very, very sharp. So I wasn't kidding. I know it sounded like a joke, but it's no joke. The seat warming business aftermarket in Canada is something to take seriously, is it not?
Oh, for sure. We do a bunch of seat heaters, anywhere from brick and mortar retail locations adding it onto remote starter installs to dealerships where they get that base model truck, but everyone still wants seat heaters. I don't know about you, Ben, but I know as soon as winter hits, once it hits past that 0 degrees threshold, seat heater goes on and doesn't turn off until springtime.
I am 100% with you. Now, so before we get into it, I want to bring some personal experience to this conversation. So there's two pet peeves of mine when it comes to seat heaters. The first pet peeve I have is an on-off only. For me, that for some reason, you know, there's some that are just too darn hot that literally 5 minutes in, you want to turn it off, but at the same time you don't. So there's that. That's one pet peeve. The other pet peeve I have is on a remote starter function. So me, when I want to start my car like every other Canadian, you want the seat heaters to be on at the same time, and some factory systems don't allow you to do that. So those are my two pet peeves. I don't know how this can integrate into our conversation, but I just want to point those two things out.
Yeah, that's really interesting because even on the aftermarket ones, and we have kind of an answer to that, but even the aftermarket ones, you're depending on the consumer to remember to leave it on, right, or off, right? It's whatever its last position, and that's what it's gonna do. But we have an answer for that, don't we, Jaron?
Oh, for sure. We got a couple answers for that.
Yeah. So let's just jump into them. We'll go into we do a quick snapshot on the portfolio we're offering. Entirely. It's not just seat heaters. If you scroll down, we do we've launched massage kits, 6 sensor, really easy install. And you can actually do a couple different programmable patterns. The one on the bottom, the SM600. want to click on that. So
That
again,
is
those
so
are
luxury. I'm just saying that is so luxury. Like
I
I've only
know.
been in 1 or 2 vehicles, I think, in my entire
Yeah.
life that has this as a factory option.
right. But if you're doing that stretch across Alberta, I think seat heaters and massage probably sounds like a
I
good
think you
idea
mean
'cause that's all.
Saskatchewan. That one's
That's all.
brutal.
Yeah,
the,
yeah,
the
that's right. Yeah,
the prairie stretch.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
That's driving through Texas for us, which is just
Just
it's just
brutal.
it's too big a state, man.
Mhm.
But those are great. So you're basically just lifting the seat cover, you're slitting the foam, and you're putting these pucks in, and they just offer a pretty strong vibration. And then you have a controller for it, and that's it. You can kind of do a couple different programming patterns, and it's a dynamite piece. It's a really cool
And it comes with its own
accessory to add on.
illuminated switch as well.
Mhm.
It's from
Correct.
factory. All right.
And a really simple install. And then obviously as we go through some of the different options, we have a ton of like Nissan, Toyota, where it's actually going to fit into the factory switch, into the actual pods. So it just gives you those nice.
I gotta say,
forward
they look
hooks.
pretty darn OE, Mr. Christian.
For sure. But what we will do is just start with our as far as review and talking about the pads themselves. We'll start with the JWC 200N. Yeah. Here it is, 2-pad carbon fiber, which allows you to trim it, obviously.
Yeah, trimming's a must for getting in all those seats and making sure it's secured down. You're not through the hug rings or losing some of the slits in the seat that it has from factory, right? So I think the trimmable pads is a must out there.
Okay, hold on. I understand what you're saying. I see how it's a must. How do you trim this? I don't understand. Like you can trim this into any shape. How does that work?
Yeah, it's the way the continuity's passed, right? So if you look at the tape that runs down the side there, that's where the continuity's passed. Comes in the top and it runs all the way down the sides, and everything else is like a barbed wire fence, right? So you can cut a hole into it as long as the continuity can reach it, right?
Gotcha.
There's no stopping because it basically has like you said, like redundancy, right? So it has multiple paths to get to the same point for continuity. So you can cut the bottom portion off. You can cut a hole in the center if you want, and continuity will still find a way to get there.
Very nice. Perfect for the custom install.
If you scroll down, this piece has a basic on-off switch. Not shown, but it does go high, low, on, off, basically, right? Go back down. I thought I put some additional. Is there additional pics on that?
No, there isn't. That's only one picture for this particular model.
Okay, maybe I put it on the next one. Yeah, what I wanted to do is just kind of show you what we've done differently. So we actually added quadrants, and let's check the 400 really fast.
Yeah.
Go down to additional picks. Not there, man. I didn't do my job very well. Okay, so what we've done, we've actually given crease lines. So there's 2 additional crease lines on each pad for the JWC 200 and the 400, which we're going to jump into. And that means there's no continuity at all, right? Because it's still carbon fiber, so you're going to get some resistance if you go to bend it around corners. And we give you those crease points where there's no carbon fiber, and it'll bend and mold more easily.
Okay, so it's like a score.
Essentially, yeah,
okay,
essentially, right? But it's not scored in. There's no actually continuity, so you're not worried about things arcing. Another thing that we've done and if you look at our pads under the tape, is we've done an extra continuity stitch, right? So down the sides, when you have the power comes in top and it comes down the sides, we've actually stitched in the continuity strip, and that's what we call it, is basically a continuity stitch, and that allows it's just more of a safety precaution. It jumps in, it holds that strip that's carrying all the power in place, and ensuring that it's not going to arc or cause any problems that way.
I noticed this one not only has a more fancier switch, it also has a 3-position and a built-in timer.
Yeah. So again, on this one you have high, medium, low. This is the upgrade JWC 400, and it does have a trigger switch. You want to talk about that, Jaron?
So the trigger and timer allow, say, this is the example that Christian always goes with. Say you have a garage on your house, but it's not heated. So your vehicle still gets cold when it's minus 40 or 50 up here. It still gets cold in that garage if it's not heated, but you can't really start your car in the garage, right? That's not safe. So what you can do is you can take that trigger, and if you have a remote start, you can activate an auxiliary on your remote start, and it will trigger that pad and allow that pad to warm up before you get in your vehicle without your car actually running. And it has the timer, so it will turn off after 15 minutes with that timer on it. So you can warm up your seat before you even get in your car, even though it's not running and it's sitting in your cold garage, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that kind of solves my little pet peeve that we talked about earlier. Perfect.
Yeah, a little bit, right? So, or if it's outside, even more of a need. So at the same time,
and that's regardless of what the last setting was when I turned off the car.
One more time. Yeah. So it will. It doesn't matter. It overrides the switch entirely.
Right. Okay.
Right. And the trigger actually. So this is a push button switch, right? So all you're doing is you're tapping it once, and those LEDs on the left are going to indicate the level of heat that you have. Yeah. So 1, 2, 1, 2, and 3. And that, again, that's just by the momentary push of the switch to ride up until it's off. So you can do the same thing with your aux out. So if you have a remote start and you have an auxiliary channel, you just hit button number 1 to start it, or you can do the combo if you wanted to, and it'll automatically go to high. Like every time it overrides a switch, no matter what position it is, it goes to high heat. But if you go to an auxiliary channel, like a button 2 or a button 3 that you're not using, every time you pulse it, it will also have the same effect that it does on the switch. It'll just go up and down through each layer. So if you hit it once, it's going to go to high. If you hit the remote twice, it'll go down to medium. If you hit it 3 times, it goes down to low. Now, Jared had mentioned the timer, which is really important. And a lot of OEs have timers too. I've noticed that they kind of automatically either drop to the low setting after a certain amount of time, whether you request it or not, or they will turn off after a specific amount of time. This one turns off after 15 minutes. We had to design that because again, we wanted it to be able to trigger, but and we want you to be able to do that whether you're starting your car or not. And not that we don't trust consumers all the time, but we want to make sure that they just don't forget about it. You know what I mean? Like, so totally. They come out, their car battery's dead, and their seat is a completely different color. So the timer is kind of an important thing. You can override the timer. So if you hold down the switch for, I think it's like 10 seconds, straight, it'll just disable the switch, and you can put it back on at a later point. But it's a nice safety feature, anyways.
Cool. Mm-hmm. Let's talk a little bit about what makes your seat heaters maybe a little bit different from what's out there in the market, Chris.
There's a lot of them out there, right? I think starting with the gauge wire, I had one from a pretty popular, I think I see them in Canada quite a bit. Just the gauge wire alone, it was literally like a 20 gauge. So we, you still have a lot of you have a lot of power going through there. It's a heating element, so I don't think you want to, skip on copper, to be quite honest with you, right? You don't want to be, heating the wires up before it even gets to the seat heater.
So how many gauge are yours?
Ours are, I want to say it's 18, probably closer to 16. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Particularly on the power wire. The triggers aren't obviously, they don't need to be there. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And then also, back to the continuity stitch, just those particular things. The length of the pad also, we offer a larger pad than quite a few of our competitors. Because it's trimmable, we just wanted to give you that extra, get up and get around the seat, get up and get behind the base of the seat, go up higher on the back. We want to give you that flexibility, obviously.
Because there's a lot of different size seating that you're dealing with, depending on the vehicle that you're dealing with as well.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
Sure.
Yep.
So there's no like small, medium, large size to these things, right? It's just like one size, but you can trim.
One size fit all, and and trim away. Obviously, you can go to the SH200. You can go over to that that one, that's a very, very small pad, but that's more of a filament style, right? So that one is not trimmable. It's like a light bulb. You cut it and there's no light.
It is what it is. This is it.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's just one filament that runs all the way through. But all of our seed heaters have been put through the test. They're all OE grade. They actually get I want to say it's like a 5,000 knee test. They call it a knee test, meaning you're just driving your knee. It's actually a mechanism, but you're driving your knee into the seat to really test the pad for durability and impact, right? Because you're going to have a lot of that activity. Your mom gets in the car, she's reaching in the back of the car seat. You want to make sure that that the materials and the build and the design are going to hold up to that.
Okay.
So those are the kind of things I think we do differently, and then adding technologies like the trigger. Which is it's patent pending. I don't think anyone else has anything like that out there right now.
Darren, is there anything else like that?
I haven't seen anything else like that out there.
Okay, so a very unique feature.
Yep. On the trigger also, so now this allows you to the timer is important too, because now the trigger allows you to go to constant, right? Which is huge. So, say you have. You want to put seats in the back, and you don't want to make sure you want that on constant, but you don't want to make sure the kids are going to turn those off. So it just takes the timer just takes that all that guesswork out, right? And the trigger just overriding the switch takes all the guesswork out as well.
I mean, this is a pretty complete luxury kind of package seat here. So this is your top of the line, correct?
Yeah, that is the top of the.
Is there anything? Kind of?
Yeah, kind of. Yeah. So certainly with the switch, you can always go to the OE, the OE switch styles down at the bottom. We have complete kits in carbon fiber for that. But we just, coming up this season, we did make an addition to the JWC 200N. And so what we are adding to that is a module that you will buy separately that will enable you to isolate the back pad. Huge.
Wait,
right.
Does that mean independent control? Is that what you're talking about?
Correct. Yeah. Yep. And so we are calling. Let me get over here really quick. Sorry, I'm on my computer. I'm looking at the same thing you're looking at. Yeah. So it just allows you to isolate the back from the bottom, right? Because a lot of times, people don't want to, excessive heat down below doesn't always. I'm just going to let you handle that. Just
Jared, this is all on you, man. Tell me why I want to select this type of independent heating source.
Well, as an installer that spent so many years on my side and my back, of course, I have back issues like most people that get up in age. So sometimes you want that seat heater on. Me and Christian were actually talking about it. You're on the long road trips and stuff, and your back's aching because you've been sitting in the seat for 3-4 hours. But you don't want your bottom pad on. So you turn that back pad on, and that heat on your back helps alleviate some of the tension and pressure in your back.
Right, because now you're beyond just temperature now. Now it's about relief.
Right.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So you get that relief on your back without having to warm up the other parts of your body that don't necessarily need that warm, because it might be 15, 20 degrees outside, but you still want that nice back heat on you.
Oh.
And this kit will allow you to do that and not have to have a warm bottom, as we'll say it.
Yeah.
Well, listen, you get off a job site in the summer, it's hot. You don't need heat, especially wearing shorts. But a little bit of relief on your lower back, that would be just phenomenal. I'm trying to think, just while I say that, if I've ever been in a vehicle that actually has that factory, and I can't think of one.
Yeah, I haven't seen one that breaks those out.
Like selectable heating areas, that I don't think I've ever seen before.
Yeah, it's imperative. I drove. I had a back surgery when I was about 30. I won't tell you how many years ago that was, but a couple discs, and so I have this one spot. I can go right at it. I know exactly where it's at. And after about an hour and a half of any vehicle, except for my Avalanche, that car somehow just was it never cramped up, but it just cramps up in that one spot. So I drove my brother and his family. They moved to Rhode Island from California. They moved back. They moved back east. Yeah. And so I reluctantly offered to drive them back if they needed it. And of course, they took me up on that, So I took one of their cars, and he had a Volkswagen, one of the newer, larger, I can't remember the name of the car, but it's one of their kind of lower, bigger station wagon sort of things. And I never would have made it. We were driving 10, 12 hours a day. There's no way I would have been in traction by Texas if I didn't have that, that back. Now, it didn't have the separation. So I think by the end of the trip, I don't think I'm actually capable of having kids anymore.
Right.
But, but my back felt good and I made the trip. So
you got TBS hard.
Yeah.
TBS is in toasty bun syndrome.
That's it. That's it.
Gotcha.
So that's what we're calling it.
I kind of feel this is kind of game changer for a seat pad category, heating pad category.
Yeah, for sure. And the cool part is it's a module, right? So, you're going to stock up on, or we're hoping you're all going to stock up on our C200Ns, and then you're just going to have a handful of modules. And when people come up, it's just giving you that extra add-on, right? Which makes you profitable. Say, hey, there's a module we can add on to that if you'd like to be able to separate the two pads and just have the back.
Right.
I mean, who's really not going to pay for that? It really comes down to getting that training to the dealer and making sure that all that knowledge makes it to the salespeople on the sales floor.
That they know it's available.
And that pitch is happening all the time, because that's just an extra, that's an extra $50, $60 a whack.
And a happier customer.
Yeah. And honestly, it's worth the value. Right.
What did we cover this? The 220 CFR?
We haven't. This is a great piece. The split pad kit. And it's really designed for more bikes. This is not carbon fiber, but you can split it up the middle, right? So it's kind of a left cheek, right cheek, install, if you will, right? Because there's a lot of problems with sensors, and this one allows you to just cut right up the center and separate them entirely. And it's a must-have. Have you played with that piece, Jaron, at all?
No, I haven't played.
I believe you pulled them in. You pulled a few in.
We pulled a few in. Yeah, it's definitely a target market, but it has its uses to be able to split, especially on lots of vehicles. I remember doing lots of installs with the pressure sensors on the passenger seat, and you don't want to touch airbag stuff as an installer. So that still gives you an option for some heating on that side, right?
Right, with much smaller pieces, if you will, that you can maneuver around. Gotcha.
A little smaller and again trimmable. And also great for great for motorcycles, et cetera, et cetera.
It'd be kind of neat for it'd be neat for side by sides.
Yeah.
Or what I would always, as being a lifelong boat owner, dude, when I'm out there in the morning, sometimes I would have loved some seat heaters on my boat.
That'd be a good idea. It's a good idea.
All right.
Jesse. And some massage kits while you're at it. Why not?
Ben's on the boat, heating, massaging.
Yeah. What am I doing? I'm just going to sit down all day. So, Jaron, for dealers who, I want to get your expertise on this. For dealers who might not be jumping, like what kind of, is this more of an expediter business? I'm just trying to wrap my head around, the retail side of this.
So we see it on all fronts, actually. We see lots of expediters that are doing it, and dealers that are doing it, bridging that trim gap opportunity. So a lot of base model vehicles, especially domestics, don't come with those factory seat heaters on it. So adding that to it kind of guarantees or helps that dealer with that sale on that base model truck, where that trim gap, maybe the person doesn't want to step up into the next trim for an extra $4,000 or $5,000, but adding seat heaters will make that vehicle better for them and see more value in that vehicle. So we certainly see that. We also see a bunch of remote starter guys as add-ons, and it's a good add-on to kind of bring that ticket up. Person's already in for a remote starter.
It's kind of it's the pre-qualified customer, really.
Yeah, we notice your vehicle doesn't have heated seats. Hey, can we add heated seats? It's already in the bay. Let's get that bigger ticket for the dealer on the vehicle that's already in their shop. Right? They're not having to go out and target someone else. Let's target the people that are already in our store for a reason. People know that there are car starters out there. How many people out there know that, hey, I can add heated seats to my vehicle as well, right? So it's
100%.
educating that customer. And that's the biggest thing. Like Christian said, like on their new JWC piece, with having that back option, it's again educating the customer and knowing that that's out there and available. People aren't going to spend money on something that they don't know is available. But if you give them the option while they're there, hey, that's exactly what I need. That's a great idea. Why wouldn't I spend money on that, right?
Yeah.
It's that value add, trying to bring that value up to the customer, right?
100%. And I mean, two items that we discussed on today's session, the backup camera is another one of those things of safety related. You have the customer there. It's an easy add-on. But for me, I want to reach out to those dealers that might have contracts with like recent used car dealerships, the ones that are selling like the 4 to 8 year old cars, or 2 to 8 year old cars. I mean, these are perfect, easy upgrades that people will bundle into their financing. They won't even notice it. You say, hey, car start, because they're already doing car starters, that. So, car starters bundle in with, a backup camera if they don't have one, because what is it? Only 4 years ago was it mandatory or whatnot? But so many vehicles from like 2012 to 16, let's call it. It's like that's a pocket right now. Don't have this stuff. Right?
Yeah.
So it's a great opportunity.
And I just can't imagine selling a car starter without pitching a seat heater. I mean, that's really it, and then once you're pitching the seat heater, then, we're just trying to give you the, the options to upsell from that point. Either you're upselling them to the module for the back after you already get them to the seat heater. They come in for a car starter. Let's get those seats warmed up. Do you have a garage? Do you park your car in the garage?
The auxiliary trigger is money in the bank.
Yeah,
that's
exactly. Right.
Sounds good. Hey, Jared, I'm going to let you go, man. Thank you so much for making the time with us today and giving us a little bit of insight on the seat heater business.
Thanks for having me on, guys.
Thanks, brother.
Soon.
Appreciate you.
Well, there you have it, Christian. I think we did the tour.
I think we did, man. I think we did. Thanks for having me on, man. We appreciate it.
It's a pleasure. I love having Accele on because you guys do some really cool, unique stuff. And
thank you, man.
I'm going to be honest. It's not car audio or DSP or anything like that, but this is stuff that are super important for shops to be aware of and to stay on top of, because whenever you have information and that information leads to sales, right?
Yeah. So. I mean, those are some pretty crowded spaces, really. That's what it boils down to. We have something coming up in September, I believe, right?
We do.
However,
we didn't announce yet.
Yeah.
We're coming.
Okay. But on our next visit together, I think I might have we might be joining some of that space, though. We have
we're gonna connect some dots.
Yeah, we have some. I might have a couple head units out there right now. So
really?
So we'll
That's
see how that transpires, and and then just make sure to for all the dealers out there in Canada and abroad, check out B&B and Bartel. They're really great partners of ours. They do an excellent job, not just in our categories, but on all others. So if you're not doing business with them, you're missing an opportunity. Let's put it that way. You can tell the guys are very intelligent, support wise and price wise and service wise. I don't think they can be beaten in Canada.
No, those are two of the top right there. So I want to take this opportunity and thank Ramesh from Importel and Jaron from BB for taking the time with us today and joining us. Yeah. And I want to thank you, Christian, for taking the time with us and sharing with us a couple new items. That's awesome, pretty exciting stuff. I'll talk to you soon.
Awesome. Till next one. Man. Take care.
There you have it, folks. Nice session with Accele Electronics, or the Vice President, Mr. Christian Way, along with Ramesh from Importel and Jaron from BB. Can't thank them enough. Listen, we got a big one tonight. You're going to want to tune in to CMA Live. That's right, CMA Live tonight at 8 p.m. Eastern. It's all about complete audio brands. We've got Sony, Kenwood, Pioneer, and Alpine in the house. I'm going to share with us all the details about that. Nice to see those brands up. And of course, we'll be back to you Friday as well for another Connected Learning, a lunchtime learning session. On that note, thanks for tuning in to CMA Connected, presented by SiriusXM, of course. I'm your host, Ben Wu. Until next time, we connect.